In this video, we're going to solve this quadratic equation here, first by computing the square, and then by using the quadratic formula. So we'll start by bringing the constant term to the right side. So the minus 7 goes over, same thing as adding 7 to both sides. So we get this. And then it'll make it easier if we make the coefficient of the square term a 1. So let's divide everything by 3. So here, this cancels out, and we get x squared minus 6 over 3 is minus 2x. That's going to equal to 7/3. Now, completing the square simply means that we're going to complete the square on the binomial on the left side. So we're going to make it a perfect square trinomial. So to do that, as long as we have the coefficient of the square term 1, we take half the middle term. So minus 2 is the middle term. Take half of that and square it. Minus 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and square it, we get 1. So then I just add 1 to both sides. And that's going to complete the square of the trinomial, in this case now, on the left side. So this factors into x minus 1 and x minus 1. I can write that as x minus 1 squared. And then on the right side, got a fraction, so let's combine it. Denominator is 3, so let's get the same denominator by multiplying here by 3 and 3. 3 over 3 is the same thing as 1. So this will give me then 7 and 3 would be 10, and that's over 3. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of x minus 1 quantity squared is x minus 1. And the square root of 10 over 3, and we use plus or minus here to make sure we get the complete solution. So this will be plus or minus the square root of 10 over 3. Now we add 1 to both sides. And then here, let's simplify this, rationalize it, multiply here by 3 and 3 gives me 30. Square root of 30 over 9, so that's going to be plus or minus. The square root of 9 will be 3, so I just put a 3 down here, and that'll be the square root of 30. And of course we added 1 to both sides, so this will be a plus 1 here. And again, 1 is the same thing as 3 over 3. So let's rewrite this then. X will equal 2, 3, this will be 3 here, 3 over 3 to get the same denominator. I'll put that one first, so it'll be 3 here. And then it's plus or minus the square root of 30. You have two solutions here. X can be 3 plus the square root of 30 over 3, or x can be 3 minus the square root of 30 over 3. And you can check each one by plugging into the original equation. So just remember, you always have to go back to the original equation to check it. And in this case, it'll probably take you longer to check it than it will to get this particular answer. But you should be able to do the algebra on that. So that's one way to do it. If you have an equation, of course, in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, you can solve it generally 3 ways. You can factor it. Sometimes it's not going to factor, so you'll use the method of completing the square or the quadratic formula. Now, if you were to take this equation right here and just pretend that a, b, and c are numbers or constants and use this procedure here, completing the square, you'll get the quadratic formula. So if you know how to use the method of completing the square, then you should know then how to use the formula to solve this equation. So that's what we're going to do next. If I use the method of completing the square on this equation right here, letting a, b, and c be numbers, we'll get this formula. So in the formula, or in the equation I should say, a is equal to 3, that's the coefficient of the square term. B is the coefficient of the linear term or the x term, and that's a minus 6. And c is the constant value, and that's negative 7. So then just plug it into this formula. X will equal minus b. Okay, b is minus 6, so if I minus that, that gives me a 6. And then it's plus or minus the square root of b squared. Well, b is negative 6, so if I square that, that's negative 6 times negative 6, that's a 36. And then it's a minus 4, a is 3, and then the c is negative 7. That's over 2 times a is 6, or a is 3 rather, so 2 times 3 will give me 6, so I get this. So x then is equal to 6 plus or minus square root of, and this will be 36 here. We got 12 times a minus 4 times a 3 times a minus 12. That'll give us here plus 84. That's over 6. So simplifying the radicand here for this one, 36 plus 84, that's 120 over 6, and 120 is 30 times 4. That's under the radical, so I take the square root of the 4, that'll give me a 2. So square root of 4 would be 2, that comes outside the radical. And then I got the square root of 30 stays under there, it's over 6. We can reduce this. 2 goes into 2 there, 1. 2 goes into 6 there, 3. And 2 goes into this, 3. I'll go over here, then x is equal to 3 plus or minus, got the square root of 30 over 3. So using the quadratic formula, we get x is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 30 over 3. So again, we have two solutions, 3 plus the square root of 30 over 3, and 3 minus the square root of 30 over 3. And again, these will check, and that's going to be your job to go ahead and check these. But we got the same answer using the method of completing the square and the quadratic formula. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.